I stood on the rooftop balcony of Lumiere, hands trembling, mascara streaking down my cheeks. Inside that private dining room, my family was probably still laughing. My mother's words echoed in my head. 37 and still single, Elena. This might be your last chance before you're completely undesirable. 10 minutes ago, I thought I was walking into my parents' 40th wedding anniversary celebration. Instead, I walked into an ambush. Let me back up. My name is Elena Morrison, and I'm a corporate attorney at one of Chicago's top law firms. I've spent the last 12 years building my career, winning cases, making partner at 35. My apartment overlooks Lake Michigan. I drive a car I bought myself. I'm proud of what I've accomplished. But to my family, I'm a failure, because I'm not married. When Mom called 2 weeks ago about the anniversary dinner, I should have known something was off. It's at Lumiere, she'd said, her voice tight. You know, that exclusive place where reservations take months? Your father pulled strings. Wear something nice, and Elena, please try to look softer. Maybe let your hair down for once. I showed up tonight in a burgundy dress, hair curled, makeup done. I thought I was being a good daughter. I walked through Lumiere's elegant dining room, past tables of Chicago's elite, up the stairs to the private rooftop section my father had reserved. The room was beautiful. String lights hung overhead. A table for 12 sat in the center, already half filled with my family. Mom and Dad at the head, my younger sister Claire with her husband Brett, my aunt and uncle, and one empty seat next to a man I'd never seen before. Elena! Mom stood up, arms extended, but her smile didn't reach her eyes. Come meet David. He's a friend of your father's from the club. David was maybe 45, balding, with a golf shirt stretched tight over his stomach. He looked me up and down with an expression I can only describe as disappointed assessment. 37? He said before I could even sit down. Your mother said you were younger. I usually date women in their 20s. They're less complicated. The table went silent. I felt my face burn. Elena looks wonderful, my aunt said weakly. She looks like she's been working too hard, Mom cut in. That's what happens when you prioritize career over family. You age faster. I should have left right then. But I was frozen, humiliated, still holding the birthday gift I'd brought for my father. Claire leaned back in her chair, wine glass in hand. David, you should know Elena makes more money than most men. She's married to her career. No man wants a woman who out-earns him. Claire, I said quietly. What? I'm being honest. She turned to David. She works 70-hour weeks. She's never home. What kind of wife would that make? Dad cleared his throat. Elena, sit down. We've ordered for you. I sat, numb. David shifted away from me slightly, already pulling out his phone. The dinner that followed was torture. Every conversation circled back to my failures. Mom mentioned every one of Claire's milestones. Her wedding 4 years ago, her beautiful home in the suburbs, the grandchild she was planning to give them soon. Elena was supposed to marry Richard Chen, Mom told David, as if I wasn't sitting right there. The surgeon. But she chose work over the relationship. Can you imagine? I didn't choose work over Richard, I said, my voice barely audible. Richard chose to sleep with his surgical resident. You drove him to that, Mom said calmly, cutting her steak. A man needs attention, Elena. You were always at the office. My hands clenched in my lap. Brett, Claire's husband, wouldn't meet my eyes. He'd been quiet all night, looking increasingly uncomfortable. Then came dessert. The server wheeled out a cake, and my stomach dropped. It was covered in pink frosting, with candles spelling out Happy 40th birthday, Elena. It's not my birthday, I said. We know, Claire said with a smirk. But you're basically 40, right? Might as well start celebrating early. The table laughed. Even my aunt chuckled nervously. This isn't funny. I stood up, chair scraping. I came here to celebrate Mom and Dad's anniversary, not to be humiliated. Sit down. Dad's voice was sharp. You're embarrassing yourself. I'm leaving. No, you're not. Mom stood too, and nodded at Dad. He walked to the door of the private room, and I heard the lock click. You're not leaving until you apologize. Apologize for what? For embarrassing us, Mom said. For being selfish. For throwing away every opportunity we've given you. for making us look like failures as parents because we have an unmarried daughter pushing 40. I felt the walls closing in. The room suddenly felt smaller, airless. Everyone was staring at me. David had his phone out, probably texting someone about what a disaster this was. "You can't lock me in here. We can do whatever we want," Dad said. "This dinner cost me $2,000. You're going to sit here, you're going to be pleasant to David, and you're going to show some gratitude." Something inside me broke. I grabbed my purse and walked to the balcony doors. Thank God those weren't locked. I stepped out into the cool October air, the sounds of the city rising up from below, and I started crying. I didn't hear him approach. One moment I was alone, the next, a man's voice said, "I'm sorry about what happened in there." I spun around. A man stood near the balcony entrance, mid-40s, with dark hair graying at the temples, wearing a chef's jacket. He had kind eyes and he was holding a glass of water. "I thought you might need this," he said, offering it to me. "I'm James. I own this restaurant." I took the water, my hands shaking. "I'm so sorry. My family, they're probably disturbing your other guests. I didn't know they were going to." "Hey," he said gently, "you have nothing to apologize for. I overheard some of what happened. Actually, I was the one who delivered your table's appetizers earlier. I heard enough to know you're the victim here, not the problem." I laughed, but it came out as a sob. "They locked the door. They actually locked me in." James's expression darkened. "That's not okay. That's actually illegal. You know that, being an attorney." I looked up. "How did you know I'm an attorney?" "Your mother mentioned it. Loudly. Several times. Usually followed by complaints that you should have been a teacher or a nurse, something more feminine." He shook his head. "For what it's worth, I think being a corporate attorney at a top firm is impressive." "You know which firm?" "She mentioned that too. Morrison and Fletcher, right? You're a partner?" "Yeah." I wiped my eyes. "Sorry, I'm crying all over your balcony. This balcony has seen worse. Last month, a hedge fund manager proposed here, and his girlfriend said no. Very loudly, very publicly." He smiled slightly. "At least you're not throwing champagne." "Despite everything," I smiled. "The night's not over." James leaned against the railing beside me, careful to maintain respectful distance. "Can I tell you something? That whole scene in there, what your family did, it says nothing about you and everything about them. They think I'm a failure. You're not a failure. You're successful, independent, strong enough to build a career in one of the toughest fields. That's threatening to people who measure worth by traditional milestones. You sound like you know something about that." "I do." He looked out at the Chicago skyline. "My family wanted me to be a doctor. My father's a cardiologist. My brother's a surgeon. When I told them I wanted to go to culinary school, they said I was throwing my life away. Cooking was for people who couldn't do anything else." "What happened?" "They disowned me. For 5 years, they didn't speak to me. I worked in restaurant kitchens, saved every penny, eventually scraped together enough to buy a food truck, then a small restaurant, then this place." He gestured to Lumiere. "Now I have 3 restaurants in Chicago, 2 in New York. I've been nominated for a James Beard Award twice." "Did your family ever apologize?" "They tried to reconnect when I got successful. When I was on the cover of Chicago magazine. Suddenly I was the son they were proud of." His voice held old pain. "But they didn't love me when I was struggling. They loved my success, not me." I understood that. My family's the same way. They'd love me if I was married to a doctor and staying home with kids. But this version of me, the one I actually am, they can't accept. "Then, they don't deserve you." We stood in silence for a moment. Inside, I could hear my mother's voice getting louder, probably complaining about me. "I should probably go back in there," I said. "Face the music?" "Or," James said carefully, "you could not. I have a private dining room downstairs. It's where I eat when I need peace between dinner services. You could wait there while I go talk to your family." "You don't have to do that." "I know, but I want to. No one should be treated like that, especially not in my restaurant." I looked at him, this stranger offering kindness when my own family had shown me none. "Why are you being so nice to me?" "Because someone was nice to me once, when I needed it. A chef gave me a job when I was 23 and my family had just cut me off. He taught me that the family you choose is sometimes more important than the family you're born into." James held out his hand. Come on. Let's get you somewhere safe. I took his hand and followed him off the balcony. We went down a back staircase, away from the main dining room, into a small, elegant room I hadn't known existed. It had a table for 4, soft lighting, and walls lined with cookbooks. This is beautiful, I said. It's my sanctuary. Make yourself comfortable. I'm going to go deal with your family. What are you going to say? The truth. That they're not welcome in my restaurant if they're going to treat people like that. James, you don't have to. Yes, I do. I've been in the restaurant business 20 years. I've kicked out plenty of people for being abusive to servers, to dates, to each other. Your family is no different. He paused at the door. Are you okay with that? I won't do anything you're not comfortable with. I thought about Mom's face. Dad locking the door. Claire's smirk over that awful cake. Do it. He smiled. Back in 10 minutes. There's water in the mini fridge. And if you're hungry, I'll bring you something worth eating. After he left, I sat down and finally let myself process what had happened. My phone buzzed with texts. Mom, where did you go? Get back here. Claire. Really, Elena? Running away again? So mature. Dad, you're embarrassing us in front of important people. Think about someone other than yourself for once. I turned my phone face down on the table. 8 minutes later, James returned carrying 2 plates. I made you my signature dish. Pan-seared scallops with brown butter, lemon, and capers. And since you had to sit through that disaster of a dinner, I'm not going to make you eat alone. He sat across from me and pushed 1 plate toward me. The scallops were perfectly golden, the aroma incredible. What happened up there? I asked. I told them I was the owner. I told them I had security footage of them locking you in a room against your will, which is false imprisonment. I told them that behavior isn't tolerated in my establishment, and they were no longer welcome at Lumiere. How did they react? Your mother demanded to know who I thought I was. I told her I was the person who decides who eats here, and she was now banned. Your father threatened to leave a bad review. I said that was his right. Claire tried to claim it was all a misunderstanding, that you were overly sensitive. He took a bite of scallop. Then your brother-in-law spoke up. Brett? He said. Enough. Told your parents and Claire that they'd gone too far, that he's been watching this happen for years and he's sick of it. He apologized to me for the scene. Then he walked out. I sat back, stunned. Brett stood up for me? Seemed like he'd been wanting to for a while. As he left, he said to tell you he's sorry he didn't say something sooner. My phone buzzed again. This time it was Brett. Elena, I'm sorry. You didn't deserve that. Any of it. Claire and I need to talk. I've been complicit in her treatment of you, and that's not okay. I showed James the message. He nodded. Good man. What about the rest of them? They left. Eventually. Your mother made a scene, which was unfortunate for her because the main dining room heard every word. Several people at other tables stopped her on the way out to say they'd overheard what happened upstairs and she should be ashamed. He smiled slightly. Lumiere has excellent acoustics. Everyone heard me banning them. Everyone? Including the Harrisons, the Mitchells, and the Colemans. 3 of the most influential families in Chicago's social scene. By tomorrow, everyone in your parents' circle will know they were kicked out of Lumiere for abusing their daughter. I felt something shift in my chest. Not quite satisfaction, not quite relief. Maybe just the beginning of freedom. Eat, James said. You're probably starving. They didn't even let you have dinner. I cut into a scallop. It was perfect, buttery and delicate. This is incredible. Thank you. Cooking is my love language. We ate in comfortable silence for a few minutes. Then James said, Can I ask you something? And you can absolutely tell me it's none of my business. Go ahead. Why do you still show up for them? Your family, I mean. They clearly don't value you. I set down my fork. I keep thinking maybe next time will be different. Maybe if I just prove myself enough, achieve enough, they'll be proud of me. They'll love the person I actually am, instead of the person they wish I was. And has that happened? No. It gets worse every time. Tonight was just the most extreme version. I looked at the empty plate in front of me. I think I've been afraid that if I cut them off, I'll be completely alone. No family at all. That's not true, though, is it? You have friends, colleagues, people who actually care about you. Yeah, I do. I thought about my best friend Sarah, who'd been telling me for years to stop going to family events, about my paralegal Marcus, who always had my back, about my mentor at the firm, Patricia, who treated me like a daughter. Family isn't just blood, James said quietly. It's the people who show up for you, who celebrate your successes, who don't try to make you smaller so they can feel bigger. Is that why you never reconciled with your parents? I tried. After I opened my first restaurant, they reached out. But they wanted to show me off to their friends, not actually have a relationship. They wanted to take credit for my success while denying all the years they told me I'd fail, so I politely declined. He met my eyes. I have family now. My staff, some of whom have worked for me for 15 years. My mentor, who's like a father to me. A few close friends. It's smaller than what most people have. But it's real. My phone buzzed again. More messages from my mother. I declined the call that followed. You don't have to answer, James said. I know. I just feel guilty. Is that crazy? No. They trained you to feel that way. That's what toxic families do. They make you feel responsible for their feelings, their image, their happiness, while your own feelings don't matter. How did you stop feeling guilty? Therapy. A lot of therapy. And time. And building a life that was mine, not theirs. He leaned back in his chair. Look, I know I just met you, but I recognize that look in your eyes. I had it for years. That constant question of whether you're wrong, whether you're being unfair, whether you should just try harder to make them happy. What's the answer? You're not wrong. You're not being unfair. And you can't make them happy, because what they want isn't a daughter who's successful and strong. They want a daughter who's compliant and small. You can't be both. I felt tears building again, but different ones this time. Not tears of humiliation, but of recognition. Of someone finally seeing me. I should let you get back to work, I said, standing. You've been so kind, and I've taken up enough of your time. Actually, dinner service ended 20 minutes ago. I asked my sous chef to handle closing tonight. James, you didn't have to. I wanted to make sure you were okay. He stood too. Can I make you coffee? Or are you one of those attorneys who runs on coffee during the day and wine at night? I laughed. Both, honestly. Coffee it is. He went to a small espresso machine in the corner and made us both cups. We sat back down, and somehow an hour passed. We talked about our jobs, our lives, our dreams. I told him about a pro bono case I'd won last month. He told me about plans for a fourth restaurant. Why do you do it? I asked. The restaurants, I mean. You're clearly successful. You could just maintain what you have. Because I love it. Building something from nothing. Creating an experience for people. Food has this way of bringing people together, of making moments memorable. Tonight was terrible for you, but if you'd come here on a normal night, with people who valued you, you'd have had a beautiful evening. That's what I try to create. You're an artist. I'm a chef who cares too much about details. But he smiled. What about you? Why corporate law? I like solving puzzles. And I like fighting for people who need someone in their corner. Most of my clients are companies, but sometimes I work with executives who are being pushed out unfairly, or employees who need representation. There's something satisfying about building a case, finding the angle no one else saw. So you're a fighter. I guess I am, except when it comes to my family. That's different. You can't win against people who keep moving the goalposts. My phone rang again. This time it was Claire. Against my better judgment, I answered. Where are you? She demanded. Mom is having a panic attack. Dad's blood pressure is through the roof. You need to come apologize right now. I'm not apologizing, Claire. You got us kicked out of Lumiere. Do you know how humiliating that is? Everyone saw. Everyone heard. The Mitchells were there. The Colemans. Mom is never going to show her face in society again. Then maybe she shouldn't have humiliated her daughter in public. Oh, please. We were trying to help you. David might have been your last chance at marriage, and you ruined it by being dramatic. James could hear Claire's voice through the phone. He raised an eyebrow. Claire, I'm 37, not 97. I don't need you to find me a husband, especially not someone who insults me within 5 seconds of meeting me. You're too picky. You're too proud. And now you're going to end up alone, and don't come crying to us when... I won't. Come crying to you, I mean. I'm done. Silence on the other end. Then, what do you mean, done? I mean, I'm done with family dinners where I'm the punching bag. Done with you all treating me like a failure because I didn't follow your script. Done apologizing for being successful and independent. I'm done, Claire. Elena, don't be ridiculous. You can't just... I can. I am. Don't call me again unless you're ready to apologize. Actually, don't call me at all. I need space. I hung up. My hands were shaking, but this time from adrenaline, not fear. That felt good, I said. Proud of you, James said simply. We sat there until almost midnight. Finally, I said, I should go. You probably want to close up. I'll walk you out. At the front entrance, I turned to him. Thank you. For everything tonight. For standing up for me. For giving me a safe place. For just... seeing me. Can I give you my number? James asked. Not as a line. I'd like to know you're okay. And maybe, if you're open to it, we could have dinner sometime. A real one. Without family ambushes. I smiled. I'd like that. We exchanged numbers. As I walked to my car, I felt lighter than I had in years. Over the next week, James and I texted daily. Short messages at first, then longer conversations. He sent me photos of dishes he was developing. I sent him updates on a case. 3 days after the dinner, he asked if I wanted to come to the restaurant after hours, when it was closed, for a private meal. I said yes. That night, he cooked for me. Just the two of us in the empty restaurant. No pressure, no performance. We talked for 4 hours. About everything and nothing. About our hopes and fears. About the versions of ourselves we'd had to become to survive our families. I haven't dated anyone in 2 years, I admitted. After Richard, I just threw myself into work. It was easier than risking getting hurt again. I get that. I haven't had a serious relationship in 3 years. Between the restaurants and recovering from family stuff, I haven't had the energy. But you have the energy now? He met my eyes. For the right person, yes. That was the beginning. We took it slow. Dinner once a week, then twice, then almost every day. He'd cook for me in his apartment. I'd bring takeout to the restaurant during his break. We discovered we both loved old movies, terrible puns, and Sunday morning farmers markets. 2 months in, I told him I loved him. We were at his place, and he'd made me breakfast. Just scrambled eggs and toast, but it was the care he put into it, the way he remembered I liked my eggs soft, my toast dark. I love you too, he said. I have for weeks. I was just waiting for the right moment to say it. This is the right moment. He kissed me. Yeah, it is. My phone rang. Mom, I declined it. She's been calling a lot, James observed. Every day. Sometimes twice a day. She leaves voicemails about how I'm tearing the family apart. Have you listened to them? The first few. They were all the same. I'm selfish. I'm cruel. I'm ungrateful. Claire's marriage is struggling because I influenced Brett to stand up to them. Everything is my fault. I sighed. I blocked them last week. How do you feel about that? Relieved, mostly. A little sad. I thought I'd feel guiltier, but I just feel free. 3 months after we met, James took me to meet his mentor, Chef Francois, who ran a French restaurant in Wicker Park. Francois hugged me like I was already family. James never brings anyone to meet me, he said in his thick accent. You must be special. She is, James said simply. I met his staff, his sous chef, his pastry chef, his general manager. They all treated me with warmth, asking about my work, making me feel welcome. They love you, I told James later. They're my family, he said. And now they're yours too, if you want them. 6 months after the disaster dinner, James and I were having coffee at his apartment when he said, I want to ask you something. Okay. What would you think about opening a restaurant together? I blinked. Together? I'd handle the kitchen and food. You'd handle the business side, contracts, operations. We'd be partners, equal partners. James, I don't know anything about restaurants. You know about business. You know about negotiation and contracts and liability. I've watched you work through problems with your clients. You're brilliant at it. He took my hands. I think we'd make a great team. In business and in life. In life? He got down on one knee, and my heart stopped. Elena Morrison, I love you. You're strong and kind and brilliant. You've taught me that it's never too late to build a real family, one based on choice and love. Will you marry me? I was crying again, but these were happy tears. Yes, God, yes. The ring was beautiful, simple, exactly my style. He'd paid attention to everything. We got married 3 months later. Small ceremony, just close friends and the staff from his restaurants. Chef Francois walked me down the aisle. My friend Sarah was my maid of honor. My paralegal Marcus gave a toast that made everyone cry. My family wasn't there. They'd found out through social media, sent messages demanding to know why they weren't invited. I didn't respond. The restaurant we opened together, Nouveau, launched a year after our wedding. I'd left my corporate job to focus on it full-time. We specialized in modern American cuisine with French techniques. James created the menu. I handled everything else. It was terrifying and exhilarating and the hardest thing I'd ever done, but we were doing it together. Nouveau got written up in Chicago Magazine within 6 months, then the Tribune, then national food publications. We were fully booked 8 weeks out. One night, as I was going over the books in our office at the restaurant, James came in with 2 glasses of wine. "We did it," he said. "Nouveau just turned its first profit." I stood up and hugged him. "We're actually going to make this work." "Of course we are. We're a good team." My phone, sitting on the desk, lit up with a text. Unknown number, but I recognized the area code. My family's neighborhood. James saw my face. "What is it?" "They found my new number." I read the message aloud. "Elena, it's Mom. We've been trying to reach you for months. Claire told us about your restaurant. We'd like to come try it. Maybe we can talk. We miss you. How do you feel?" I don't know. Part of me wants to say yes, to see if they've changed. And the other part? Knows they haven't. They want something, probably to be connected to my success now that it's getting attention, just like your parents did. James sat on the edge of the desk. "Whatever you decide, I support you. But I'll tell you what Francois told me when my parents reached out. People rarely change unless they've done real work on themselves. Have they acknowledged what they did wrong? Have they apologized? Or are they just waiting for you to forget?" I reread the message. No apology. No acknowledgement of the locked room, the humiliation, the fake birthday cake. Just "we miss you" and an interest in the restaurant. I deleted the message and blocked the number. "I choose us," I said to James. "I choose the family we've built, the people who showed up when it mattered." "Good." He kissed my forehead. "Because this family chose you back. That was 8 months ago. Nouveau is thriving. James and I are happy. We're talking about maybe opening a second location next year. We're talking about maybe having a kid." Last week, Brett reached out. He and Claire are divorced. He apologized for every time he stayed silent, every time he let them tear me down. He asked if we could have coffee sometime, just to talk. I said yes, because Brett had stood up, even if it was late. He'd done the work. We met at a cafe near my office. He looked tired but lighter, like he'd been carrying something heavy for years and finally put it down. "I'm sorry, Elena," he said, "for all of it. I should have said something years ago." "Why didn't you?" "I thought keeping the peace was more important than standing up for what was right. I thought if I just went along with Claire and your parents, everything would be easier." He stared into his coffee. "But it wasn't easier. It was cowardice. And watching what they did to you at that dinner, I realized I'd become someone I didn't recognize." "What happened with you and Claire?" "She didn't like that I stood up for you. She said I was choosing you over her. I said I was choosing right over wrong. It went downhill from there. Turns out when you marry someone who treats their family like that, eventually they treat you like that too." "I'm sorry." "Don't be. I'm better now. I'm in therapy. I'm figuring out who I am when I'm not trying to please people who can't be pleased." He looked up. "I heard about your restaurant. I'm really proud of you, Elena." "Thank you. Can I ask you something? How did you do it? How did you walk away and build this life?" I thought about that night on the balcony. About James offering me water and kindness. About the family I'd found in unexpected places. "I stopped waiting for them to change," I said. "I stopped trying to earn love from people who weren't capable of giving it. And I opened myself up to people who actually saw me." Brett nodded slowly. "I'm trying to do that now. It's hard." "It is. But it's worth it. We stayed in touch after that. Brett came to Nouveau once, ate at the bar, left a generous tip and a note that said, "This is incredible. You and James built something beautiful." I never heard from my parents or Claire again. Sometimes I wonder if they think about me, if they regret what they did, if they miss me, or just miss the version of me they wanted me to be. Mostly, I don't think about them at all. I'm too busy living the life I chose, with the man I love, surrounded by people who celebrate me instead of diminishing me. Yesterday, James and I were at the farmer's market on Sunday morning, our weekly ritual. We were picking out vegetables for the restaurant when my phone buzzed. Sarah, my best friend. Turn on Channel 7. I pulled up the news on my phone. There was a segment about Chicago's best new restaurants, and there, on screen, was Nouveau. James and I were being interviewed, talking about our partnership, our vision, our love of food and community. "Look," I showed James. He grinned. "We made it." But he wasn't just talking about the TV segment. He was talking about all of it. The life we'd built, the family we'd chosen, the love we'd found when we stopped looking for it in places that couldn't give it. "Yeah," I said, lacing my fingers through his. "We really did." And on a cool Sunday morning in Chicago, standing in a farmer's market with the man who'd saved me by seeing me, I realized something. I wasn't the woman who'd stood crying on that balcony anymore. That woman had been looking for permission to be herself. This woman, the one I'd become, didn't need anyone's permission. I'd built a life I was proud of. I'd found a family I chose. I'd learned that the family you're born into doesn't have to define you, and that was the happiest ending I could have imagined.